Sorry, Chuck, but I have a speech. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gary Chichester. I'm so honored. I'm so honored to have been asked to welcome you to Metro Chicago to celebrate the life and the legacy of Chuck Renslow and his final white party. First, I'd like to have everyone reflect and send their prayers to the people of Eastern Texas during this very devastating time down there. So if people have friends and relatives down there, pray for them. First, I'd like to thank all the individuals and businesses that came forward to make this evening possible. We are very grateful to these friends that came forward and have listed them in the program. It was amazing. You can go out and ask people to do things, and Chuck Renslow, sure, right away, and done deal. It was really very rewarding. Most important, though, I'd like to thank the team that helped put this event together tonight. Gene Ogren, Jeff Roscoe, Jeff Berry, Tommy Noble, and the management and staff of the Metro Chicago here. Used to be center stage when... We have some people that remember that. Chuck was many things to many people. The leatherman, the businessman, the politician, the daddy, the patron of the arts, the mentor, the showman, the top man, the artist, but most importantly, the friend. The video that we just watched only begins to capture all the facets of this great man. Chuck and I go back to the early 70s when I first met him during my involvement with gay liberation and the Chicago Gay Alliance. Whenever we needed support, Chuck was the go-to man. He supported so many causes that became the starting point of so many organizations that still exist today in the city. Not only did I work for Chuck as a bartender at the Gold Coast, but later as manager of the GC and on to managing Dance Country and Center Stage. During that time, he encouraged me to become more involved in politics of the day by joining many organizations, both local and national. We also participated in many marches in Washington and the Names Project displays. He encouraged my interest in show business, introducing such talent as Waylon Flowers, Sally Rand, Grace Jones, Sylvester, and at the time, 2 Tons of Fun, later to become the Weather Girls, Charles Pierce, Franny Gold, and many others to Chicago audiences. Chuck was also on the forefront of healthcare in the community, bringing on-site STD testing to Dance Country Baths and the VD van to the streets of Chicago. The man was involved in everything. It is fitting that we gather here this evening at this location, formerly Center Stage, to celebrate his final white party. Thank you for being here. Tonight we have brought together a few folks that will speak to the 4 key pillars that made up Chuck's legacy. Politics. We have invited guests, Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame Friends of the Community inductees, former Alderman Cliff Kelly. Congressman Mike Quigley, who's in Washington right now fighting certain powers that need to be turned around. So thank you, Mike. Business Hall of Fame inductee and former bar owner of His and Hers, Marge Summit, and her lovely wife. Community, Chuck was also very committed to the activism and community awareness and support. Someone who knows that side of Chuck very well is Hall of Fame inductee, writer, publisher, community activist, Windy City Times owner and publisher, Tracy Baim, and her lovely wife. Right here. Retired Judge Tom Chiola, also a Hall of Fame inductee, will share a poem with us that speaks to Chuck and of all our feelings. And finally speaking will be Ron Eman, a 35-year member of this Renslow family, who will bring all this together and share us a side we might not know of Chuck, the family man. At this time, I would like to introduce Alderman of this ward, Alderman 46th Ward, Tom Tunney, to share with us a tribute resolution to Chuck from the City of Chicago. Tom, thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Before as Chuck said, it's a fairly long resolution for the City Council, and there was some, as Ron told me earlier, when he read it, did that City Council pass that resolution with all those interesting words in it? So if you'll bear with me. But before I do that, Chuck and I would say a number of elected officials we can all be thankful for Chuck Renslow's support in our campaigns. And he's been not only a fellow business person, but he and I witnessed and did as much as we could for the AIDS crisis, as was said earlier, without much government support. Certainly was an impetus for me to get involved with the City Council. And he was, I would say, 1,000% supportive of not just me, but now we have 5 city LGBT. We have our own caucus. Seems a member of that. But I just wanted you to know how much Chuck meant to me for so many years, and I'm sure each and every one of you has his story. So let me start with the resolution, and if you'll bear with me. And it is co-sponsored by my colleagues on the City Council. That's Alderman James Kaplan, Alderwoman Deborah Mell, Alderman Ray Lopez, and Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa, which ironically is the Alderman of Logan Square, which was Chuck's birthplace. That being said, let me read. Whereas Chuck Renslow, 87, a longtime pillar of the LGBTQ community in Chicago and around the world, died on Thursday, June 29th, 2017, after multiple long-term health issues. Whereas the City Council of Chicago has been informed of his passing by the LGBT caucus, and whereas Chuck Renslow was born in Chicago in 1929, raised in the Logan Square neighborhood by his grandmother, and graduated from Lane Tech High School. And whereas in the early 1950s, Renslow founded Chris Studios, one of the earliest and most durable of the physique photography houses. He was an accomplished photographer, including of the ballet. His dance photography is in the Newberry Library and in the Chuck Renslow Dance Photographs Collection. And in 1958, he was brought to a local court for the distribution and possession of material with, quote, excessive genital delineation. I couldn't say that. I wonder what our mayor thought of that. He signed it. I like the ballet part now that I mentioned it. Unlike some gays, Chuck did not passively wait for a conviction. He and his attorneys fought back, including as evidence nude statues in Chicago. What an interesting idea. In 1964, the post office also brought Chris Studios up on charges of pornography. The studios did not use the more common strategy of saying the materials were art. They just denied they were pornography. And the judge agreed that the human body itself, imposing straps, was not porn. Whereas he opened the Gold Coast. Anybody remember that? Yeah. Believed to be the first leather bar in the United States in Chicago in 1958. It closed in 87 when it was known internationally as the oldest leather establishment in the world. He was founder of many bars and sex clubs since the 1960s, including Man's Country, which is still open in Andersonville. In the 1970s, the bathhouse attracted top names on the, quote, KY circuit. I wouldn't know anything. Okay, whereas he was the publisher of Triumph, Mars, and Rawhide male magazines, Publications mailed and shared across the country as the earliest ways gay men found each other. In 1965, he was the founder of Second City Motorcycle Club, the first such club not on the West Coast. And Renslow was also involved in newspapers, purchasing Gay Life newspaper from its founder, Grant Ford, and publishing it for several years until it folded in 1986. And as was stated earlier, in '79, he founded International Mr. Leather, which grew out of his Mr. Gold Coast contest and the experience he had managing AAU physique competitions. Renslow and Tunney co-founded the Leather Archives Museum in 1991, where Renslow has served president for many years. Let me just take a pause here. I know most of you have seen the Leather Archives. For those of you that have not, it's truly an incredible building, and much of Chuck's life and the life of the community can be witnessed there. I also wanted to say, as one of my most fun memories of the leather contest was for many years Ann Sathers hosted the contestants for the pre-brunch here. I can remember my mom, she was at the cashier at the door and was like, oh my God, these guys have chaps with bare butts going on. She got over it after a couple of years, but I didn't, because when I got finished with work, we trucked down to the Vic and really had a wonderful time there. And I really miss it not being there in the hood. Let me progress here. Whereas organizations he was involved, including Strike Against AIDS, Human Rights Campaign Fund, Metropolitan Business Association, Illinois Gay and Lesbian Task Force, now American Civil Liberties Union, NAACP, Chicago Association of Commerce and Industry, the Uptown Chamber of Commerce, 46th Ward Advisory Council, and the 48th Ward Park Advisory Board. And whereas he served on the board of directors of the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, and was a U.S. representative to what was known as the International Lesbian and Gay Association. As was stated, Renslow was especially active in politics in the 70s and 80s as the gay community gathered momentum. He was the founder of the Prairie State Democratic Party in 1980, and they hosted events with top politicians from Chicago and Cook County, and even presidential candidates coming through the area. He pushed for the Gay and Lesbian Civil Rights Ordinance when it was first introduced in the City Council in the early 1970s. Obviously, we did not pass that until 1988, but he and a number of other pioneers have worked both in the state and the City Council to pave the way for the ultimate passage of the Human Rights Ordinance. The initial executive order banning discrimination in Chicago's city government was issued by Mayor Jane Byrne, and Renslow was inducted into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame in 1991, received dozens of awards from the gay and leather communities, received the Leather Journal's Lifetime Achievement Award and a Centurion Award as Leatherman of the Century. We will hear from his partner of 36 years, Ron, and their two adopted sons, Robert Wilkie and Patrick Corcoran. Back on Wednesday, August 2nd, at the Jefferson Masonic Temple, a Masonic funeral ritual was held. And obviously today, Sunday, August 27th, 36th and final white party will be held right here at Metro, celebrating Chuck's life. Throughout his life and career, Chuck served as an elementary too, exemplary leader for the LGBT and leather communities in Chicago and beyond, and as a model activist for social justice. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and members of the city council gathered here this 26th day of July 2017 do hereby honor the life and memory of Chuck Renslow and extend our heartfelt condolences to his family and friends, and that a suitable copy will be sent to the archives and to International Mr. Leather and, of course, to Ron Council. That resolution was passed in unanimous vote, I must say, which means we've come a long way. Thank you for sharing.